here today on Desertwood Days. I am your host, Kathy Blaze, and today I am here with the lovely Daniela Crispo. Welcome.
Thank you, Kathy. It's nice to be here.
Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
It's such a while since I've seen you.
I know. It's great to see you.
Yes. Congratulations on your marriage.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, Daniela, you are a director of theater.
Yes.
That's an awesome job.
It is an awesome job, actually. I love it. It makes me very happy.
Yes. So, being a director of theater, how did you get to that point?
Well, my first interest was actually acting, and I was really, really young. My mother raised my sister and me just with the arts, whether opera was playing in the house, or we went to New York to see the ballet or Broadway shows. So I grew up with that. And then when I was in middle school, I sort of found the acting bug and really fell in love with it, and it stuck. So when I went to college in New York for theater, I sort of majored in acting, but then towards the end of my undergrad degree, I took a few directing classes and realized I loved that. I liked it even more.
You love directing.
Mm-hmm. So I've done both, but I feel like I like directing more.
Really?
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing almost entirely, I guess, for the last few years.
Tell me about your first role.
My first role?
Yes.
Probably was a tree or something. I was, sixth grade. I really don't even remember. I remember it was a summer theater, like acting at camp.
Uh-huh.
So it was interesting because I know a lot of people that love the applause, which the applause is great. But what I really loved was the work. Well, right? You're an actor. Working on the scene and the rehearsal process. And I really liked being in the room with the actors and doing the work and working on the text and finding those magic moments.
Right.
And working with them. So I love that.
Well, the way I see that is that takes two different type of people. Someone that wants to go into directing, that's a leader. That's the mindset of a leader. Because not everyone wants to direct.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone wants to be leaders either. So those are two different roles, and you have to either be a leader or you're not. And that's the way I see directing versus acting. You want to direct and you love that because you love being a leader and taking control and seeing things from front to the end. Do you see it that way?
I do, because at the end of the day, the director has to make the final decisions. I mean, of course, you have the producer, you have everyone else who has an important part, but like your name is on that piece.
Yes.
And you, at some point, at least when it comes to the acting part, not the producing part, you have to make the final decision and you have to be able to stand by the final decision.
Right.
But the flip side is what I really like about directing is that it's such a collaborative effort.
Mm.
And I really love getting everyone's opinion and everyone's input and hearing where the actors are going with something. And you have an assistant director and you want their opinion. So it's very collaborative. Right. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, you have to make a decision and hope for the best.
Right, but I like that you value others' opinion and you like the collaborative part. And again, that's not for everyone either. It's like, this is the way it is, this is the way I like it. And I mean, it depends on your leadership skills. I mean, and you're the type of leader that likes to collaborate and I'm going to say delegate and get others' opinion. And that's where I see the difference is as actors, we want to just get in front of the camera, act and do our thing and go home. We don't want to make all those decisions. We want to leave that to you. But as a director, that's a big role because you're dealing with a lot of different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, it helps that I'm a therapist too.
Yes.
I'm a therapist in private practice. I've been doing that for a long time. And there is a lot of psychology behind it and a lot of, I think a lot of patience and compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
So that you can, it's like having any relationship,
right?
I think you have to just connect with people. You have to be really willing to connect and listen and check yourself for sure. I mean, I'm always growing when I'm working on a project or working with people because my stuff sort of comes to the surface and depending on the interaction with somebody. So there's a lot of that, a lot of personal work, I think.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. Tell us about one of your first stage plays that you directed.
One of my first ones?
Yes.
It was at NYU. It was actually my first one. I had there was a festival for new plays, and I just sort of submitted. I don't know if I auditioned or submitted for it to be a director for one of the pieces, and the playwright had chosen me to direct her one act play.
Okay.
And I can still remember the feeling. I was probably doing cartwheels. If I could do cartwheels, I probably did them across the floor. I was so thrilled, and then I was terrified because it was such a big deal.
Right.
Because it was my first one, and it was all on me.
Right.
And I loved it. I loved it.
That's awesome.
I mean, yeah, it was a great experience.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe? I don't want to say your style of directing.
Well, I think a lot of what I already said, not to be redundant, but I really like working with actors. I like to get their input. I like to, if they want guidance, if they need guidance, just
so you're really
create a family,
and you're really hands-on. Would you say?
Oh yes, that's a great way to describe it. Yeah. I'm really hands-on. And this project I'm working on now, it's a big production, so I've got an incredible design team. Yeah. And I'm learning so much from them. So it's just, your family just gets bigger and bigger. Yes, you just keep working with these wonderful people.
Do you have a specific genre of plays that you like to direct?
I don't know. Probably, I can't really say that I do. A play that I'm working on right now is one that I specifically chose and fell in love with, and it's just a very, it's a heartfelt piece. It's a drama. It's a play, not a musical, and it's about families and relationships. So I like things that people can. Well, people should be able to relate to almost anything, right? Depending on how it's directed. Right. But I just like pieces that have to do with relationships and almost like everyday human challenges.
Is that the type of therapist you are?
Probably. I keep it simple. I do a lot of mindfulness and being present and connecting. So I really think I am pretty consistent as a person, director, therapist.
Well, it's easy. That's you have that template there. You just go, you can use one for each area of your life.
Exactly. It's sort of seamless.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the new project that you're working on?
Sure. Yeah. It's called A Feminine Ending by Sarah Treem. And it was staged off Broadway in New York years ago. And it's being produced by the Bridge Initiative.
Okay.
And at Tempe Center for the Arts. And it is about a young woman who she wants to be a classical composer.
Oh.
And she's afraid because she knows she's entering a male-dominated field.
Oh.
And she really wants to not have to face the fact that this is what she wants to do because she knows the path is really scary.
Right.
So it's basically sort of a story about how she's inadvertently looking for ways to sort of not face the truth. Mm-hmm. And then simultaneously her mother is going through her own transition at a different point in her life about actually using her voice and being who she is. So it's these parallel, these paths and these two women and their connection and how they're sort of needing each other and how the family works together and all the different pieces. So.
Is this a one act?
It's a full play.
Oh, okay.
It's a full play. And music actually plays an important part in it, even though it's a straight play. The character plays the oboe, plays the piano, and sort of creates her symphony throughout the play.
Oh my goodness.
It's really exciting.
It sounds exciting.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're directing this whole thing by yourself?
I am the director.
Oh, okay.
I have an assistant director.
Okay.
And then, like I said, an amazing design team, an amazing crew. So even though I'm the director, I am absolutely not doing this by myself. The cast is fantastic. We have a great understudy cast.
Okay. That's always helpful.
Well, this is a new thing because of COVID. We need to sort of ensure that we have a full production every night.
Right.
So this is the first time we've ever actually cast an understudy cast, and they're all amazing. I got so lucky. everybody that came out to audition was just stellar. The caliber of artists is just unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm really lucky.
Yeah, congratulations. The Bridge Initiative, can you tell us about that project, the program itself?
Sure. We are, I guess, a coalition, I guess, of professionals, of actors who we've been around actually since 2015. But we actually are promoting giving opportunities to historically marginalized groups
Oh,
to perform, to work as artists, but starting with gender parity.
okay.
So we focus on works either. So I don't know if people know this, but a majority of ticket sales for theater are by women.
Mm.
But a majority of positions held in theaters by women, well, a majority of positions held in theaters that are not actors are men. So gender parity, we're trying to promote either plays written by women or female identifying folks, directors who are women, producers, so that there's a large number of those, and actually, it's a movement around the country that's been happening as well.
Okay.
But we just invite all groups, everybody, for all the other positions. So it's a wonderful coalition. Our family, like I said, just gets bigger and bigger as we invite more and more groups.
So is this a coalition for Arizona locals, or could someone, say, from California come out and be a part of the Arizona initiative?
That's a great question. I don't know exactly, but I would like to say that if somebody is interested in joining or being a part of us or a part of the group or even attending like a board meeting, we welcome everybody. Everybody, for sure.
So I don't know if you know the answer to this, but you were stating that the males are the dominant historically.
Yeah.
How are the numbers changing in Arizona with female directors and other positions taking part in this?
Well, I don't know. I don't have hard facts and figures, but I do know just from being aware of social media and what I'm hearing about women being and female identifying people being hired and cast in certain roles as artistic directors and producers and directors. I believe that it's definitely going up. I think we have a lot of work to do, but any big change takes a long time. But I feel like the movement is definitely there.
Okay. Do you see the movement growing? I mean, or do you seem to see the same people each year that you have the projects?
Well, I see it growing.
You see it growing.
I definitely see the numbers growing and more people hearing about us and being interested and joining.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
one
good
of the
to
things
hear.
we found a few years ago, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Was that men seemed to think that we were sort of anti-men or not interested in having men on board, but that's not it at all. Just because we're interested in promoting gender parity, of course we definitely welcome men to join the board and to, of course, so
and that's not just in relation to, say, male versus female. You see that in other areas where someone is trying to bring about change in disparity. They seem to think because you're doing that, you're against whatever the opposite is, and that's not true.
It's not true.
So I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
How do you guys promote what's going on with the Bridge Initiative? How do people find out about you guys?
Well, we have a website.
Okay.
And it's Bridgeinit, BRIDGEINIT.org. That's our website, which is fantastic. And we have wonderful people marketing who are actually making it better and better all the time. And then just the usual social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay.
And
how long have you been involved in this?
I've been lucky enough to be involved since the summer of 2015.
Okay, that's pretty good amount of time there. So
it's been great.
So I imagine you've seen lots of change during that time.
Oh yeah. And we really pride ourselves on sort of moving forward with the change and even helping to create change and just stay ahead of what we feel is needed, some of the gaps
Right.
that are needed.
So, as a director, one of the directors that for the theaters, the stage plays, are you also involved in any of the other areas? I mean, with voting in new members or whatever else there is.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in any other areas?
Yes, I am. I am on the board.
Okay.
And I am one of the core artistic members. And we also encourage any of us and all of us who want to wear different hats to do that.
Okay.
You know, if somebody wants to act or if somebody wants to break into directing, they can try to be an assistant director.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and we all need help. We all need to produce, or at least we need to help each other produce because we have lots of other projects going on as well.
Right. So. Do you have any projects of your own coming up?
Well, I am working. I'm doing something I've never done before, and I am working on a musical, like creating a musical.
Wow.
With an amazingly brilliant composer, Bruce Bray. He actually composes lots of soundtracks for films locally here.
Okay.
So he's always working. He's super busy. And he actually composed the score for a movie that I was actually in a few years ago, directed by Kevin Phipps, and that's how we met.
Okay.
So now Bruce, I brought him on to A Feminine Ending to create the lead character's symphony. So he's actually creating original music for my play. And he asked me if I would do some writing that I've never really done before. So he's writing the music, and I'm trying to create the book for a story that's sort of like a spin on a classic tale. So that's what we're working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned Kevin Phipps and you being a part of one of his movies.
Yeah.
Which movie are you able to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. So this is a funny story. So quite a few years ago, I was working with the Arizona Women's Theater Company before Bridge Initiative. You probably know them. And I directed just a stage reading of a new play. And then this wonderful playwright, she turned it into a film, a short film. And she asked me to audition for it. So I said, sure, why not? And I ended up getting a part. And it's called My Secret War.
Okay.
And it has won.
It's secret spelled with a K. Yes.
Yeah, and it has won so many awards. And I'm so honored to have been a part of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was an amazing play. Rena's an amazing playwright, writer, and Kevin's, of course, an amazing director. Yes. I'm sure you know Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they turned that into a short film.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I acted. So that was fun.
Good for you.
Got back into the acting for a bit.
So are there any plans to turn that into a feature?
I don't know. No, Rena probably. She's probably working on something. I think she should. It's a beautiful story.
Okay. So when can we see your new play that you're working on?
It runs January 14th to the 22nd at Tempe Center for the Arts.
Okay. And when will we see more about Daniela's play that she's writing right now?
I don't know.
So when you pursue that one coming out?
I will let you know. I'm assuming that once we get something really written down, then we'll probably workshop it.
Yes.
And start to show it around and get some good feedback so we can make it better and better.
Awesome. What advice would you give? It's going to be 2 questions to an aspiring theater actor.
Oh, an actor.
Yes.
Work. Like just take. I don't mean take any part, but don't necessarily wait for the big role or the full play. There are theaters everywhere. Look for theaters that are maybe doing readings of new plays, workshop productions, one-act plays, because the more you work, the better you get. And then you connect with people, and that's how you grow. I think it's really about just continuing to work and even work on creating something for yourself.
What advice would you give to an aspiring director?
Work. No, I'm just kidding. Probably the same thing. I think it's about connecting with people, learning from people around you. But the same thing. So much of the work I've done with the Bridge Initiative was stage readings, new plays, play festivals, and I just got to know more and more actors and other directors. And I think when you listen more and talk less, you learn a lot.
I love that.
And that's how you develop your own voice, by sort of hearing what's going on and then sort of formulating what works for you. But I think it's about that, connecting with people and just sort of absorbing all the stuff that you're.
I love that, because you don't hear people say listen more and talk less.
I think that's
because that's
probably
the
a good
first thing we
practice.
want to
Yeah.
immediately. I know that. Well, you may have not known exactly what they're going to say. So, yes, listening more and
Yeah.
just being quiet for a moment.
Right? Be curious and
Peace
listen.
and quiet is good for us all.
It sure is. I agree.
So, where can our audience find you?
Oh, probably just social media. Facebook, Instagram, Daniela Crispo.
Okay.
I don't have a website.
Well, it was such a pleasure having you here today.
It was so great being here. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us today on Desertwood Days, and we will see you next time.